Hi, guys. Welcome and thanks for joining on another episode of the How Ridiculous podcast, where we discuss ridiculous from all sides. Today, we will be discussing the majority report and how they think that one half of the entire country is, of course, a Nazi and their selective outrage. Let's dive right into it.
People at it. I mean, let's
It was past his voters' bedtime.
let's pretend right, let's pretend that we're living in a democracy, please. I mean, it's crazy. And with that race, not to go too far afield, but the three most expensive primary races in the country have all been successful attempts by the Zionist lobby to take out anti-Zionist.
All right. So here she's complaining about how expensive the Massey race was, this past one. But you know what? Speaking of selective outrage, I didn't hear her complaining at all when the Dems were spending obscene amounts of money in their past elections, right? I'm against both parties spending this kind of money. Just think about it. It takes the normal man who is not well connected or sold out or what have you from ever actually doing anything for the country, right? So I'm against both parties spending this kind of money. So those are my thoughts. But again, speaking of the Dems and how expensive their past elections have been, in 2016, Hillary spent $1 billion, close to $1 billion. Reports suggest between 800 to $1 billion, $1 billion effing dollars on that election. On the other side, the Trump campaign spent between 4 to 600 million, which is, again, of course, I think is obscene. But you can see the disparity, the difference between what the two campaigns actually spent. Just saying. Then in 2024, the Biden / Kamala Harris campaign outdid any other campaign. They spent close to about 1.5 billion to 2 billion. On the flip side, the Trump campaign were no less, but still less, 800 million to a billion. So I guess 2 to 1 back in 2024. First, you haven't heard her once complain, or their group or this channel ever complain once about how it's unfair that the Democrats spend this much money. They bought the election. Oh my God, how could they spend this much money? Where is democracy when they're spending this kind of money? I don't know what happened to all that. Second point, if money spent meant you win the election, then what happened to the last two cases, right? I mean, you can clearly see, everybody knew actually, that they spent this much more money than the other side, but they still lost. I don't know. So, again, to me, either side spending this kind of obscene money is outrageous. It's sort of corrupted because, I mean, after all, right, they're spending this kind of money to get a job that doesn't even pay a tenth of what they're spending. But I get it. It's about the country. It's about the policy. You have to spend money. You have to stay elected. You have to get elected, stay in power to, I guess, forward your agenda that people gave you, right? But if so that is the case, then the Republicans will be justified as well to spend that kind of money. Again, let's move on to the next clip.
Who are you going to vote for next time? Is it going to be Marco Rubio or is it going to be AOC? Is it going to be JD Vance? Is it going to be, Chris Van Hollen or whatever? Like they'll still probably vote in that direction. And it is very terrifying, this rise of anti-Semitism amongst the young right, and the fact.
The problem, I think, is much bigger, right? I think people are scared if they let the Dems in, they're going to get these open borders again that we have under Biden, right? Where they just sat there and said, this is not a problem. And the entire country just saw millions of people just kind of flooding into the southern border. So I guess people are crazy people are scared that when they're going to elect the other side, they're going to get more of this. We go back to crazy policies in the military. We go back to all sorts of crazy extreme left policies that they have so attached themselves. Most people are worried about this. The average Americans see the examples they have right in front of them right now, right? We have states like California, we have states like New York, where everything has always been much higher historically and currently is higher than the other national average. The standard of living isn't all that good as when you compare it with the crime rate, right? Within these same democratic run cities. And the national average is completely something different. Let's take a look at a short clip of the mayor of LA, a Democratic mayor of LA. It's a funny clip. I promise it's going to make you laugh.
How many people who are unhoused that you meet have no teeth at all? They don't have teeth. Why? Because meth rots your teeth. You can't succeed without teeth. So there needs to be comprehensive health care provided to people.
So this clip that we're talking about, it shows her saying that, you know what, we need to make it a policy that we need to give on the taxpayers' dime. We need to give all the meth addicts, the drug addicts, who apparently lose their teeth. I don't have great teeth either, but when they lose their teeth, they should get teeth implant, because without teeth you can't be successful. Without teeth you can't eat. So yes, now it's. She said it in public in the media that she thinks that the taxpayer should pay for the meth addicts' new teeth implants. The average American sees this, right? This lunacy, this ridiculous topic that she's talking on. On a side note, she's got a team. I guess the whole entire team got together, the whole staff got together and thought this was a good idea and talk about it. Anyways, the crime historically has been higher in Democratic cities, right? I'm not just saying that. Stats have always proven that. We all know what happened in Washington and cities like Chicago in the past year. The average person isn't blind to it. The average American sees this, and the average American is scared to hand over the power to that. Not saying that it's not going to happen, not saying that the average American won't get fed up and tired of it, but the average American is scared. They are cautious when they think about a Democrat because the examples are right in front of them. Um, there are so many more examples to think of, right? If you take a look at not just New York, not just Chicago, but what happened with Minnesota, right? With Timmy Walls, what does Trump call him? Tampon Tim. That man wanted to put tampons in boys' bathroom in Minnesota, right? And he actually did it, I think, right? Again, it's in front of it's in front of the average voter. It's in front of the average American. And can you imagine that that man was actually going to be or was the candidate for VP for Kamala Harris? And had they would have gotten elected, oh my God, I don't know what kind of policies they would have came out with. Again, not taking any sides, right? But Kamala sounded like she was taking shots before doing media interactions, and VP candidate Tampon Tim wanted to put tampons again in boys' bathrooms. Are you kidding me? But I digress. Let's move on.
People are fertile ground for it. In fact, that type of Christianity is where anti-Semitism came from.
Yep.
And I'll make two observations that I know are true and one that I think is true. The first is that Israel knows that that's happening, and the second is that Israel doesn't care that that's happening in those minds of those people. And the third is because they're doing it intentionally. Because anti-Semitism is a justification for the ethno-state of Israel. Bibi Netanyahu, Ben Gvir, they do not care. They do not care one iota if Jews in America are more under threat. In fact, I take that back. They do care. They want it. They want it.
They want that. They, in the way that Zionists.
Here they are saying that the Israelis want the Jews in the U.S. harmed. They want them in harm's way. They want to make it seem like the anti-Semitism is high, and if that, but while doing that, if the average Jew, the United States, the American Jew has to get hurt, so be it, right? They want this to happen. When I say they, I mean the Israelis want this to happen so they can get some kind of sympathy, I guess. That's what she's getting at. She's saying the Israeli government wants the average American Jew to get hurt for the anti-Semitic crimes against Jews to increase in the U.S. Really? Okay. If this is the case, right, then why do these guys actually get so defensive when we talk about the Palestinian Hamas and how they use human shields? They use average Palestinian Muslims as human shields, not just males, but they also use kids, they also use women, they also use the elderly. But when you mention that or even bring that up, that's a big problem. That's a big no-no. They'll be the first one to defend that cause, and it's not just one. It's not just one country, Israel, that's reported this. It's been multiple international media houses that have come out and said that the Palestinian Hamas does use human shields, does hide their weapons, weapon caches, and mix in with the normal crowd because they want the average Palestinian Muslim to get hurt, to die, so they can then come out and scream bloody murder, right? But when you say that, or even you kind of cite who's saying that, this is the same channel that will go completely in the defensive mode and defend that. I mean, that to me seems like selective outrage. Again, this is just my opinion. This is what I'm observing and kind of putting out there. If I'm wrong, let me know. I'm, of course, always ready to learn. Again, let's move on.
There are whole swaths of voters that are gettable that aren't, Nazis or aren't taking you down a path of.
Wow. But then again, am I surprised? So now she's calling, or now she's saying that if you voted the other way and didn't vote for her party, which is the Democratic Party, you were a Nazi. Where have we heard that, right? This keeps happening. They keep doing it. But then again, how can you even say that? Last time I checked, I don't see any concentration camps in the U.S. I don't see any gas chambers in the U.S. See, when the average American person sees this kind of rhetoric, see this kind of talk, right? See these talking points, they get scared. They're scared of people that have so much hate for the other side. I get it. This is politics. People talk against each other and negative ads and such things. But to go as far as saying Nazis, it's a whole different level, right? Come on. But then again, like I said, are we surprised at all? No, I don't think so. But again, clearly she says it. Um, Not saying that we don't have loonies on the Republican side, right? We've got plenty of those. Not say we. Again, not taking any side. They have plenty of those, but none of them are actually doing this kind of stuff, right? Coming out and calling entire half of the population, United States, of the United States Nazis just because they didn't vote with your party. I think that's going a step further, but then again, this is not the first time, and I don't think this is the last time. Just kind of wanted to put it out there. These are just my thoughts again, right? I was just putting out there the selective outrage of this particular channel because I've been listening to these guys and they do it a lot. So I'm going to bring these guys up quite a bit to point out the ridiculous that this channel, this person, this group spews out. And you guys let me know in the comments that if I've completely missed the point, if you guys think they're right and I'm wrong, that we need to have a fair and balanced discussion. Again, thank you for joining. Until next time, be safe, be happy, and see you soon.